Pingalaka held his position in the shadows, muscles coiled tight. A sound like rolling thunder vibrated through the canyon, a roar he did not recognize. He retreated to his den, fur bristling, convinced a rival king had arrived to claim his territory. From the brush, the jackals Damanaka and Karataka observed the lion's panic. They tracked the source of the noise to a clearing where a bull stood grazing, oblivious to the predator watching him. The jackals saw an opportunity. They approached the bull, led him to the lion's den, and waited. When Pingalaka emerged, the two beasts locked eyes. The expected violence never came. Instead, the lion stepped forward, sniffed the air, and lowered his guard. By sunset, they were side by side. The lion moved through the tall grass, the bull followed, and the forest settled into a quiet, rhythmic peace. They grazed in the golden light, a king and a stranger tethered by a sudden, fragile bond. The jackals watched from the periphery, their influence fading into the shade of the trees. The harmony did not sit well with Damanaka. He watched the lion and the bull from the thicket, his eyes narrowing as he realized their bond had rendered him useless. Without conflict, there was no need for his schemes. He waited until the sun dipped low, casting long, jagged shadows across the clearing. Karataka remained behind, but Damanaka broke away, moving silently through the undergrowth. He bypassed the grazing bull and headed straight for the lion's den. Inside, the space was cool and smelled of dry earth. Pingalaka lay resting, his head resting on his paws. Damanaka approached with his tail low, mimicking the posture of a loyal servant. He stopped just inches from the lion's nose, his voice dropping to a sharp, rhythmic hiss. "My king," he whispered. "You sleep while the enemy prepares." Pingalaka opened one eye, his ears flicking forward. Damanaka leaned closer, his whiskers twitching. "That bull is not your friend. He is sharpening his horns against the canyon wall, waiting for the moment you lower your guard to pierce your heart." The lion's pupils dilated, his massive paws shifted, claws dragging deep grooves into the dirt floor of the den. Damanaka slipped out of the den, his movements fluid and purposeful. He crossed the clearing where the bull grazed, his eyes scanning the periphery for the lion. He approached the bull, his posture submissive, his head bowed low to the grass. "Friend," he murmured, his voice trembling with feigned distress. The bull stopped chewing, his massive ears swiveling toward the jackal. Damanaka stepped closer, his gaze darting toward the distant den. "I bring news that tastes like ash," he said. "The king has been watching you since dawn. He has been sharpening his teeth against the jagged stones, talking of how your size makes you a threat to his crown." The bull snorted, a low rumble of disbelief that shook his frame. He shook his head, but Damanaka persisted, circling him like a shadow. "You think he is resting, but he is planning. He intends to strike tonight, while the moon is hidden. He believes if you are gone, his power will be absolute." The bull lowered his head, his nostrils flaring. He stepped back, his hooves churning the soft earth. The peace was gone, replaced by a cold, hard pulse of dread. He looked toward the den, his eyes narrowing, waiting for a movement that was no longer a sign of friendship, but a signal for war. The clearing vibrated as they met. Pingalaka roared, a sound of pure, jagged suspicion that tore through the evening air. Santivaka did not hesitate. He lowered his head, horns leveled like spears, and charged with his full weight. They collided in the center of the field with a bone-jarring thud that sent birds screaming from the canopy. The lion pounced, his heavy paws driving the bull into the soft, churned earth. Dust swirled around them, choking the air. Pingalaka struck with lethal precision, his teeth finding their mark. The bull gave a final, shuddering breath and went still. The forest suddenly felt empty. Pingalaka stood over the fallen body, his chest heaving, his muscles trembling from the exertion. He looked down, expecting to see the fire of a rival. Instead, he saw only confusion in the bull's wide, darkening eyes. There was no malice there, no hidden plan, only the fading light of a friend who never understood why the end had come. The lion froze, his paws still locked in the grass, as the realization of his own violence began to settle into his bones. A rustle of leaves broke the stillness. Pingalaka shifted his gaze toward the brush. Karataka and Damanaka stood there, their tails wagging in rhythmic, cruel satisfaction. The lion looked from the jackals to the silent bull, and the bridge between them collapsed. The truth hit him with more force than the battle itself. He had dismantled his own kingdom. He had traded loyalty for a whisper. Pingalaka lowered his head to the bull's mane, letting out a low, mournful growl that vibrated through the cooling earth. The forest remained deafeningly quiet. The king of the trees sat alone in the center of the clearing, surrounded by the wreckage of his own pride, watching the shadows lengthen over a friend who would never rise again.